Hey guys, my name is Woodrow Smith, and this is my emerging media capstone project, Ag Chat. Let's put the culture back in agriculture. So first, I have a teaser trailer. Okay, with that out of the way, I just want to jump into the problems that Ag Chat aims to solve. So number one is the disconnection between the average producer and the average consumer, like I said in my trailer, and to be a modern medium where farmers are represented because they typically aren't, and also to address the knowledge gap, which is almost the same as the generational gap, which I'm about to elaborate more on with this timeline. People have never been more disconnected from agriculture than they are today. And by that, I mean in 1840, there were 5.6 million people in the workforce that were contributing to agriculture. And that's roughly 70% of the workforce at the time. In, not, in 1935, 7 million people were contributing to agriculture, and that was the peak, roughly 80% of the entire workforce. But in 2019, 2.6 Americans are contributing to agriculture, and that is 1.3% of the population. So, like I said, there has never been a bigger divide between the average consumer and the average producer. And with that said, even only 1.3% involved in agriculture, it still makes $132.8 billion annually. So one of the problems, underrepresentation, is just because a lot of farmers are older because of the generation gap, and they don't get on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and tell you about these new practices that they're doing and how sustainable and awesome it is. So AgChat will be a modern medium for them. Misinformation like this stock photo of a syringe and a tomato ticks me off to high heaven because so many people see that and run with it because they think it actually means something when that is absolutely not a thing. And buzzwords like GMO, all natural, organic, nobody knows what all of these mean. So this will be a chance for me to create a more informed consumer and my listeners, and also defend one of my passions, agriculture. And on the topic of chickens and GMO, I have a demo for y'all from Dr. Benson, a professor of poultry science here at UGA, regarding hormones in chicken. I know we've all heard that word hormones in chicken tossed around more than it should have been. And if you're afraid of hormones in chicken, listen to what Dr. Benson has to say. And that absolutely blew my mind when Dr. Benson told me, because myself, I didn't know that hormones had been illegal in chicken for 5 years. I thought there were hormones in chicken every day. I thought it just wasn't bad for you. And I grew up on a farm. Now, my user feedback regarding my research report, I found out that almost 2/3 of my listeners are from Spotify, as we can see from this graph, and Anchor, a subsidiary of Spotify, is in second place. My qualitative information, geographical, was very interesting because I did not expect 2% of my listeners to be from Spain and Indonesia, but it's very welcome. It's just a very surprising analytic. and my target ages, which were college age kids without backgrounds in agriculture. And seeing this graph from Anchor just let me know I hit the nail on the head. As you can see, almost everybody except for those 8 people is in my target age group. And then in regards to the quantitative research, this was answering the question, did you find anything during this episode surprising? Not at all, to vary. As we can see, everyone found something at least slightly surprising. And this graph was in regards to, did this episode change anything about your conceptions of agriculture? As we can see, most people said yes, some people said no, and the other people said somewhat. So that just letting me know that I need to kind of steer my episodes in a little better direction, be a little more cohesive. And now for the featured guest on Ag Chat. First up is Dr. Kulong, a professor of horticulture and sustainable plant production with an area of interest in vegetables. We have Dr. Benson, who we heard from earlier, an associate professor of poultry production. Chemicals and agriculture from Dr. Kemerate in UGA Tifton, actually, who has an area of emphasis in plant pathology. Beef dairy production with microecologist Dr. Todd Calloway. And agriculture and environmental sciences, aka AES, by Dr. Keeper. He teaches one of the biggest classes here at UGA, Global Effects of Agriculture. I would definitely recommend taking it if you're here at the University of Georgia. Great class, you're gonna learn so much. The technology I used for agriculture, or for Ag Chat, excuse me, is all based on audio. So I'm just going to tell you about it. Otter.ai, excuse me, transcribes all of my episodes down into written form. So there's a special emphasis on accessibility for maybe people that can't hear very well. The Adobe Suite for editing and branding, and Studio 404 for recording the episodes. Future improvements I plan on making. Dear Woodrow, stay focused during the episode because I have a tendency to ramble. Get to the point and not go off on a tangent. Answer the question of why Ag Chat, why should people college age without backgrounds in agriculture care what I have to say? A call to action like follow Ag Chat on Spotify or Anchor, leave a like and a rating, and then being able to put a metric to that. And to all my people that are considering emerging media, the skills that you learn are unparalleled. The connections that you make, everybody's here to learn the new, the emerging, the why is it good? Can we make it better? Being technological, it's been awesome. Megan, Chris, John, Leah, y'all been so patient with me and I really appreciate it. And during Big City Bread, a social outing, Esther decided to donate this picture to science. There's a bounty on his head. One of the skills academically that I cannot stress enough is learning how to learn, just being able to pick up on the newest thing and take it by the horns and emphasize why it's important and why we should care. And that's just one of the best things about being a mime. Challenge yourself. If you would have told me a year ago I was making a podcast and then writing a project brief and branding, I would have laughed in your face. And be someone that your friends brag about, specifically to their grandma, because if you tell your grandma about it, it's pretty airtight and there's somebody that is worth bragging about. And lastly, you can listen to Ag Chat on Spotify, Anchor, Overcast, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast. Make sure you thank a farmer, and let's put the culture back in agriculture.